Say hey everyone, welcome into another edition of Say Hey Plays. My name is Jose Bouquett. Alongside me is my guy Spin Doc Sports here. Doc, Monday night, obviously mostly for football, but there's 3 games left here, damn it, on the baseball card. And we're going to talk about them pretty quickly, I assume, but it'll be fun talking to them with you, Doc. How are you doing?
Not too bad, not too bad. Like I told you before the show, I got my game day attire on. I got my squad right here at 2-0 and ready to help the people make some money on baseball. You know, it's interesting too because you see this I've seen this ever since I started doing this, is once the NFL starts in this last week and a half or so of the MLB season, the books just, like, for some games, it's like they just don't care and just put the line out at whatever their computers say. And those are spots that you can take advantage. So, for anybody thinking that there's not money to be made in baseball at this time of the year until playoffs, it's just incorrect. People think that, like, some people think that sports books have these like infinite resources that they just have, like, individual people just eyeing up the line movement and everything on these games. And for baseball, when NFL is in play, because there's so much money pumping into that in college football, it's just not the case. You can actually snipe in some cash at the end of the season by taking advantage from lines that are just set strictly due to averages. And so, but I call them computer lines. So basically they run their numbers through their computer. There's no manual adjustments, and the line is what it is. Just because there's the assumption that more people are going to be caring and betting on the NFL and college football than Major League Baseball when the playoffs are almost essentially decided. So there are for sure spots to make money in MLB in the last week of the regular season.
Well, Doc, I hope you can help me find them, because last week was the worst week of my gambling season by far.
Okay.
By far. And I do have a lovely nickname now. Reverse Sweep Ramon is what I'm called on the streets now.
Ouch.
Unfortunately, but it makes me laugh every once in a while. It is quite funny. So shout out to Mike. But we need to do this damn thing, Doc. I hope to salvage some of the shout out to J-Dub immediately dropping Reverse Sweep Ramon in the chat. But we need to salvage some of this, and I'm excited to talk about these games here. And at least these games, 1, have good pitchers in them, and 2, mean a whole hell of a lot. So it's going to be fun to talk about them, because today is just AL West day on this program, and then we'll throw the Padres and Giants in there at the end. But let's talk about the Texas Rangers and the Angels. Now, everyone knows what I'm probably going to bet on this game, and I'm just going down with the ship here. But I obviously have the Rangers bet that I've been cheering hard for, and they just come off sweeping the Mariners, and they're on a high. They're just like, wow, we just probably just clinched and won the division, like 2.5 games up with a week left. What can possibly go wrong? And the Angels, it's funny because we talked about this with our guy Jimmy the Bag. The Angels players are out there playing for contracts now in this last week of the season. Young players and old. Young players to show that they deserve to stay there. Old players to, show other teams that they should be worthy of a contract. So I like the Angels here, and I think I'm going to move on them. First 5 and full game money line doubling up here, which is shocking enough because of how poorly I have been going. By the way, the record now sits at 427 and 451, down 26.94 units after fucking being up at one point in the last 2 weeks. So it's pretty just astonishing last week. So we're going to find the right track here, and everyone knows the playoffs are what matter a lot as well. So I can't wait for that. But let's talk about the market here, and I'll pass it off to Doc here. Market in this game to start it off. Rangers, 83% of the bets and only 53% of the money, shockingly enough. So bigger bets on the Angels, which does make me feel more confident. So I'm on the Angels. I'm going to bet it while you're doing this, Doc. Money line plus 157, first 5 plus 130. Doc, what do you have to say about this one?
I think that the first 5 I can definitely go with, because when I look at this one, I look at Patrick Sandoval's props and they make no sense. His innings prop is near 6, which for a guy that walks as many guys as he does and can't find the strike zone as often as he can't, he doesn't go this long very often. In fact, his innings prop is 15% higher than what his average has been since July. And that is significant. Normally, when you get 10% or more, it does indicate that the books feel that he's going to have a solid start. And obviously, you think about, it's the Angels who have nothing to play for. Their team is a wasteland. They're probably going to blow everything up. Ohtani's going to leave. And you think about this team just in shambles. And how are they going to contend with the machine that has been the Rangers, right? I mean, they're coming off a great series. They're, I don't know. You look at the prop line here for Sandoval, and he's got for somebody who walks as many guys as he does and is as wild as he can be, for somebody and who normally throws breaking and off speed stuff, to go 6 innings and only have props at the standard 2.5 line, which he normally gets when he goes 5 innings or even sometimes less, 5 hits, which is under the standard line he usually gets, and 2 walks, which is about what he normally gets. You're probably not going to get away from that with Patrick Sandoval. This indicates that Patrick Sandoval is probably going to have a decent start. I don't know if I like his strikeout prop because it's at 6.5. Now, one interesting point about his strikeout prop is it opened at 6.5, plus 120 for the over, minus 160 for the under. Now, the way that they've been lining this all day is that they just keep increasing the juice on the over, on the under, and they keep giving you better plus odds on the over. What that tells me, I've seen this a million times over the 3 or 4 years I've been doing this with strikeout props, is that it means that they have a number in mind that they are almost certain the outcome will be, and that number is 6. So do I like the over? I don't, because of the way that it's lined. Am I going to pay minus 180 for an under strikeout prop? Never in a million years. I will never pay minus 180 for a standalone strikeout prop. You can combine it with stuff if you want. You can combine under 6.5 with something else that's high juice that you might like, and that might work out. But I can see Sandoval having a really, really good night here. The play that I want to give out for the show, though, is if Sandoval is only going to do that, or is projected to do that, John Gray's props are even better. He's only projected to give up 1.5 earned runs, which is actually well under what he normally gives. So I like the first 5 under. I like the full game under 9. So I will make both of those official. The under 9 is actually even money right now on a few sites, I think. And the full game, or the first 5, I had it but don't have it anymore. But either way, I like the first 5 under. I like the full game under. This just does not strike me, especially with the way that it's lined. This does not strike me as a game that's going to see a lot of runs. And I think that the first 5 total is under 4.5, minus 102 on FanDuel. So I will make both of those official. Double under for this one.
Beautiful. Well, if it's an under kind of game, then that makes me feel better about the Angels at least, because obviously if this game's going over, it feels like the Rangers are doing the hitting there. By the way, to bolster our case here for that, bolster your case for that under there, Doc, recently, let's say this month against lefties, the Rangers are 19th. Only 94 weighted runs created plus. So,
yep. Yeah,
it just comes out.
I look at this last week of the season, for me, as I'm probably more into reverse engineering the lines than I am looking at other peripheral stats than I do during the season, just because teams are in different spots right now mentally and have different things to play for. I never try to factor in motivation into my capping just because I'm not in the locker room. So I have no idea what these guys are thinking. I have no idea if they went out and got drunk last night. I have no idea if they don't care or if they do care or if they're fighting with each other. I have no idea. So I try not to do that. So what I try to do is let the books cap the game for me, and the lines for this one compared to what they normally get and what lines they normally get and how they normally do tell me that both of these starters are going to have pretty good nights, or either that or the offenses are just going to suck. Either way, it adds up to an under.
Yep, sharp bets on the under as well, by the way. 31%
Oh, yeah,
of
I saw
bets
that
and
too. Yep.
51% of the money on the under. So that makes you feel better as well. So let's move on to our next game there. I'm on the I'm on the Angels first 5 full game split there. Doc on a first 5 full split of unders there. Game 2 tonight. This is the main event here tonight. This is what we get down on. The Houston Astros, the juggernaut team of the last, I don't know, Doc, you probably know timelines better than me. It's 10 years, I guess, now. It feels like the Astros have just been doing this, just beating up on everyone, going to the ALCS. I think it's 7 straight years of ALCSs. And now they're hanging on by a thread to a playoff spot. Shocking enough. And the Seattle Mariners, everyone's darling going into the preseason. My darling, I bet them to make the World Series or win the World Series, I should say, like 2-3 weeks ago. And then they started falling off a cliff, of course. And now they're a half game out, I believe it is. And like I said, this is the series. And yeah, they're a half game out. This is the series that could decide the season. This is like the week, I guess, that should decide the season for the Mariners. I mean, they've already failed the first test. Seattle has, getting swept at the Rangers disgustingly. I was pretty shocked to see this line to start off. I was pretty surprised to see minus 130 for the Mariners. And that was my first indication, like, okay, if it's lined that high, it makes me feel like the Mariners are alive in this. And then you go to the market, immediately it's 32% of the bets and 60% of the money on the Mariners. Okay, all right. And then I start warming up to the idea of it. The line has moved 2 cents towards the Mariners a little bit, So at the end of the day, I think I've ended up finding myself on the Mariners yet again, and I guess I'm going down with the ship here. I guess my 2 things this season was fading the Rangers and hoping they didn't make the playoffs, where at the darkest day of that. And I bet the Mariners because I thought they were very lively. Their pitching is amazing, and I think their hitting can get hot enough when put under some pressure. But this is the ultimate pressure here at home. This is it. This is the season. Will they show up? I sure hope so. So I'm very interested in it. By the way, just a little some mini trivia here for you, Doc. I forgot to mention this last game, and I'll mention it for this game as well. What do you think the season record for the Rangers versus the Angels are? 10 games they've played so far.
It's like a 5-5 split.
Yep. 5-5 split for the Rangers and Angels. What do you think it is for the Seattle Mariners and Houston here?
I don't know, actually. I don't know.
Seattle, 8-2. 8-2. Oh. Pretty just shocking to see that. So maybe the Seattle Mariners team just has their number. So I'm going to be on the Seattle Mariners here. -1. Plus 117. I know it's not great being on a -1 here with Justin Verlander and maybe a low-scoring affair here. I looked at the market, obviously, because this screams out under, right? But 35% of the bets, 88% of the money on the under. At that first look, I'm like, okay, I'm really feeling the under here. But I looked at how the line reacted to that. And I have it at opening at 7, and now it's a 7.5. And I was like, what? It just didn't make sense to me. So I stayed off the total. I lean under there too, but I'm just going to be on Seattle -1 here and hope they can get a 2-point or 2-run win, I should say, through there. Doc, what do you think?
Yeah, so going back to how I said that I capped today's card, or actually how I'm going to cap this entire week, is not that I throw all the other metrics out the window, but I do focus primarily on reverse engineering the line. And when I reverse engineer the line, there's a few things that come up that are just don't make sense to me. Here's number one, is that Justin Verlander, since rejoining the Astros, so since and actually, you can go back and you can even look before that. So Justin Verlander has first start since rejoining the Astros was on August 5th. Since that time, he has only failed, or so he's had 9 starts. He has only failed to pitch 6 innings in each of those starts twice. That's actually a pretty equal ratio to his other starts for the year, where of the number of starts that he's, 20-something starts, he's only failed to go 6 innings, I believe 8 or 9 times. In those games, most of the time, it did not work out very well for him. Normally, he didn't go for 2 reasons. Number one is he threw a shit ton of pitches and walked too many guys and gave up too many hits and wasn't able to last. Or number 2 was that he didn't throw a lot of pitches and just got his shit cracked. So does that happen tonight? The other thing that is that's very, very intriguing for me is, and I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet, is Luis Castillo's strikeout prop is only at 5.5 at home. 5.5 at home. And Luis Castillo has hit this 73.3% of the time in his home starts. What does that tell me? Especially when you compare it to, he's projected to go 6 innings, so he's not even going to get a strikeout an inning projected, even when a guy like Maldi is going to be in the lineup. And his other peripheral metrics, earned runs, hits, and walks, are all standard. What that tells me is that he might have a decent start, but they are begging you for overaction on his strikeouts here. And yeah, you can say it's dialed down because the Astros and they don't strike out. I had to go way back to look at the last time that Castillo was lined at a 5.5 against any home opponent. That just doesn't happen. And it doesn't happen because at home, he has a 31.4% strikeout rate, including 33.1% against right-handed batters, of which the Astros likely will run 7 or at least 6. So that one sticks out to me, as does the Verlander one. The innings prop is just really, really sticking here and leads me to believe that this game might not go how what might be construed as a public take, which is, well, the Astros get him, of course, because it's Justin Verlander and it's close to the playoffs and all this stuff. I don't know if I'm going to put a bet in on this game. I'm not going to give out any show plays on it, but to be personally honest, I think the value is on the Mariners here. I really don't think it's on the Astros, because not having a Justin Verlander innings prop at 6+ innings, at least for the first 5, because not having a Justin Verlander prop at 6 innings, it's been a long time since that happened. I think almost every start since he's been back in Houston, his innings prop has been at 6 or more. It's like not much more, but it's 6. And tonight he's projected to go less than 6 innings. Now, even with, if you go and search on Twitter for Justin Verlander outs, or at least I did a few hours ago, you will see that every public capper in the world is giving this out, or so many are giving this out as free money. Verlander over outs. He goes 6 innings all the time, blah, 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 blah. The books don't give away free money, guys. And if this is my last time on this show, the last message I can give to you is the books don't give away free money. And if it looks too good to be true, it very often is. So I would stay the hell away from Verlander's outs prop tonight. I would, if you're going to look at Castillo's strikeout prop, my only lean would be to the under. This one just strikes me as a game that the Mariners have a really, really good chance here. So I'm not betting it myself, but if you gave me a free play, it would be on the home team.
Well, I'm going to be on first 5 full game. I'll do a run line split first 5 there, -0.5, +110 there for the Mariners. Full game -1 at +117 there. All right. Excellent chat about that game, Doc. Excited to watch that game now. It's going to be a big one here. Let's go to our last game. And this is the only game I don't have action in, and it features our future NL Cy Young Award winner, Blake Snell, making what maybe is his last start of the season. And I'm glad that we get the Blake Snell experience with what might be your last.
My buddy, the experience.
Exactly. And it's a great person to talk about Blake Snell with. I mean, his numbers this year are hilarious. He'll walk dudes. He's got one of the highest walk rates in baseball, if not the highest, I believe, especially among starters. And then he just puts up, like, I think I read that it's the best runners in scoring position or runners on base average against season in Padres history. Like he does not let guys get hits when there's runners on base, especially runners in scoring position. So it's just one of those things where I hate watching Blake Snell pitch. I just can't stand all the walks, but he makes it work out. He just his shit's just that disgusting where good luck hitting the slider. People will know it's coming and he'll still just dive underneath your bat and he'll throw his 6 innings and get out of there. And that's typically what we'll see from Blake Snell. He's gone 6 innings twice against these Giants, shut them out both times against them. Logan Webb, oddly enough, has not faced the Padres this year. I looked and I was pretty surprised to see that.
Yeah, I
know. But here's the thing: now that the Padres are basically eliminated, they want to fucking show up. The Athletic and all these new places are finally writing the stories that everyone was kind of whispering about, how everyone in that locker room hated each other. Manny Machado, not a good leader. Bob Melvin lost the locker room, et cetera, et cetera. Their GM's a shithead, whatever. And now they're 9-1 their last 10. And people were like, I saw people in our chat stock, I'm not going to say these people's names, but I saw people like throwing little smudges of wagers on Padres futures. I'm like, what are we doing? Padres to win the World Series? What?
No.
But I guess
no.
They're 5 games back. This is like a week left. I mean, you have to pull a rabbit out of your ass here. But it's funny to me that we shit on the Padres. You shit on the Padres. You shit on the Padres. And now the Giants and the Padres have the same record now. It's both sitting at 77 and 79. The Giants have lost they've lost 8 of their last 10. 2-8 last 10, and it's just disgusting. I don't want to watch either of these ball teams. So if I had to make a pick here, it feels like it's an obvious Padres spot, but like you just mentioned, the books aren't giving away free money, and I didn't want to take the obvious spot here today. So I agree with you wholeheartedly. Let's go to the market, and I'll pass it over to you here, Doc. 77% of the bets and 74% of the money on the Padres. According to my site here, this line opened up at minus 107, which is just ridiculously cheap. And it's gone up to minus 115, but I still don't trust it either way there. I just feel sketch. Totals wise here, no one will be surprised to hear this. So actually it'll be a little surprising. 56% of the bets and only 58% of the money on the under there. So kind of expect there to be more money on the under, but obviously it's a little over half and not much market moves with a total at 7. So what do you think here, Doc? 2 pitchers that I'm sure you enjoy watching.
Oh, yes. So what better way to close my time on the show this season than with the Blake Snell experience? What better way I couldn't think of a better pitcher to close out this show talking about than my guy who, again, I nicknamed the Blake Snell experience because for those that don't know, whether you back him or you fade him, it's always an experience. You are always walking the edge. You are always wondering if this is going to be the inning that the bottom drops out or he turns it up. It's always a mystery. So it's always a fun ride. Now, that said, looking at Blake Snell's strikeout prop, a few people in the chat have mentioned it already. I mean, I'm going to say it too because this is my jam, is that there's a thing that we refer to in the capper business as the titty capper play. And Blake Snell today is the titty capper play. Blake Snell's over is the titty capper play. And what I mean by that is any capper, any public capper, any blonde with a pair and Instagram in a bikini who gives out plays will tell you that Blake Snell is free money today because of how often he hits it and his strikeout rate and blah, 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 blah. So I am staying way the hell away from that one. Way away from that one. His innings prop is set pretty close to what it normally is. He normally never pitches 6 innings because he racks up too many pitches. You talked about Jose about how he'll get guys on base and then just turn it up. He's actually talked in interviews before, and if you've never listened to a Blake Snell interview, you should, because he if you've ever seen the movie Malibu's Most Wanted, he actually sounds like B-Rad Jamie Kennedy from that movie. So I think he might think that his skin might be a little bit of a different shade, but that's another topic for another day. But his interviews are pretty entertaining though. He's actually a pretty funny guy. So You look at Snell's props, and his innings is normally right there, but he has said many times that what separates him from other power or other pitchers in general, or some other pitchers, is that he's unafraid to put guys on base. So, you see pitchers get down in the count 3-1 or down, down 2-0, and then they start throwing, a couple fastballs right in the zone to try to get back in the count, or maybe just try to pitch to contact. That's not how Blake Snell operates. He believes that he has a chance to strike out every single batter that he faces, and that's how he throws. And that's what he said before. So, he'll throw a curveball in the dirt. He'll throw a slider 8 miles out of the zone. He'll try to throw a fastball way up on 3-1 just to see if a guy will swing. And that's just how he pitches, and that's why it's always inexperience. But when I see his props, his hits, earned runs, and walks, 1.5, 4, 2.5. That's pretty standard for what you get with a Blake Snell start. Every now and then the hits will be a little bit higher, but this is pretty in line with what you would expect. Now, when I look at the money line for this one, I agree with you wholeheartedly here, especially with 78% on the Padres and 75% of the money on them. They're begging you to take San Diego here. They're giving you a price that's like, oh my God, you can't pass this up. They're at home and Blake Snell is starting. So official show pick, and I know it might not be a popular one, Giants money line plus 105. I don't necessarily think that Logan Webb can outpitch Blake Snell in the first 5, but I do think that Blake Snell definitely doesn't finish 6 innings. He might finish 5.5 or 5 1/3, but if you gave me a free play on his strikeout prop, I would take the under without even thinking about it. That would be an easy underplay for me. I am 100% on the Giants here, especially at a plus price, given the way the line is set. Giants plus 105 money line official show pick.
I love the pick. I lean that way, but I'll be interested to watch it. I'm not betting this game. I've already invested very much so in the AL West this evening, so cannot wait to watch that. Doc, real quick before we head out, do you have any and obviously your team on Monday night, any bets on the game?
Well, I mean, you know who I'm backing. Come on now. No, but in all seriousness though, one of the things that I've noticed about Jalen Hurts this year too, and with the Eagles offense in general, is that this year defensive coordinators are throwing a lot of different looks at him. And while he's still in spots putting up stats, it's nowhere near like the Madden type shit he was doing last year. So the thing that Bowles is really good at for us is throwing a lot of different blitz packages. The year that we beat them in the playoffs 2 years ago, we suffocated Hurts by doing just that. So, do the Bucs win the game? I hope they do, but I'm not ready to anoint them yet. I think that they've benefited from playing 2 very subpar teams. So now it's real. And that's kind of what I've been saying to anybody else who's any other thing I've been on talking about this game. I said it on our NFL show over the weekend, as I said, it's kind of like the Lions. I talked about the Lions, and after they beat Kansas City, is the follow-up game is how do you handle success? Because now you are a little bit more of the hunted versus the hunter. And everybody thought that the Bucs were going to suck this year. I mean, shit, I didn't think they were going to be very good. I thought we were going to take our Brady medicine from the massive contract that we had to pay out in dead money and go from there. So it's been a nice surprise. And what the key to the game for me is going to be can Baker Mayfield not turn the ball over tonight? Bucs are the only team in the NFL right now, the only team that does not have a turnover for the season. The only one. Now, they've played less games than every team but 4, but they have the only team without a turnover. If that continues tonight and Baker continues to play within himself, which has been the biggest thing that our new offensive coordinator, Dave Canales, has him doing, is not trying to do too much, not trying to chuck it, not trying to basically play, schoolyard football. He has him playing within the system, and he's organized the offense to Baker's strengths. So if Baker does that tonight, and even if he keeps doing that while the Eagles bring some heat, because they will bring heat, they'll bring pressure. Our offensive line is not the greatest, so he's probably going to be on his back a few times. If he doesn't get rattled and decide and revert back to schoolyard football, like he did often in Cleveland, then and even a few times in LA, I think that we'll put ourselves in a position for the game. But I mean, if you're asking me, am I betting on the Bucks to cover tonight? Of course I am. Am I going to put a money line bet in on the Bucks? Of course I am. I bet on my team. I put my money where my mouth is. So yeah. But yeah, Bucks for me for sure.
I bet on my team this week, Doc, and it caused me to just officially just throw my Zach Wilson stock off the bridge. I'm out officially, yep. And I will not be watching Jets games with him as the quarterback. I'll just be consuming via Red Zone, and I know they won't be there much often. So very nice. Well, we appreciate you, Doc. Thank you so much for one joining us today, and two joining us on Mondays for the entire season.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. Sorry, I saw Jake Burns ask, what's the best player prop?
Go ahead.
In my mind, I'm going to be all over Mike Evans, over 56.5 receiving yards. The man is on a mission. They didn't pay him in the offseason. The crowds at Ray James have been chanting, pay him. Pay the man, basically. Fans are ready to riot if they don't pay the guy. And, Evans could have done one of two things. He could have looked at this and he could have pouted on social media, or he could have said it's bullshit because he has all these 1,000-yard seasons. He's been a pillar of the franchise, all of which is true. What Evans did was he just said, you know what? Fuck it. Like, I'm just going to have to prove to you that you can't live without me. And that's what he's been doing. Reports in practice are that he's outworking everybody by a mile. He's getting in people's faces. I mean, he is just all over the place. So on Monday night, with a chance to really show up, I also believe that a couple of his teammates have talked about how they want to get him paid. So they're trying to get him the ball. So I like all things Mike Evans props until it doesn't work. The question, do I live in Tampa? I do not. I live in Minnesota. And how I became a Bucks fan was I watched when they used to play in the same division many years ago. I watched a Vikings versus Bucks game when I was a little kid and became hooked on the team ever since. Came up with them through the Warren Sapp and Rondé Barber and John Lynch years and the mid-90s when Tony Dungy became the coach, and have just loved the team ever since. I have been to many, many Bucks games, though. We go down to Tampa relatively often.
Beautiful. All right. Well, thank you, Doc. Like I said, thanks for joining us today and throughout the entire season on Mondays. We appreciated you, and your analysis on pitcher is always very valuable. And everyone in the chat, as always, appreciates you as well. Doc, for one final time here, please plug anything you want. Get it all out there. Let people know where we can find you. I'm sure you'll jump on with us in the playoffs, but let people know one last time in the regular season.
All right. Well, at Spin Doc Sports, give out free strikeout props on a pretty regular basis. And, so you can find me there. But the thing that I always promote when I'm on this show is the foundation for my mother. So I'll do it one last time. You can, wrong side. You can see the ribbon there that I wear on my hat. So my mother passed away in 2019 due to complications from ALS. So to honor her and to remember her and to hopefully make it so no family ever has to go through this ever again, is that we started a foundation called the Michelle Gargaro Foundation. And thank you for putting the website up. And so it's a 100% nonprofit, and we're registered with the state of Minnesota as a nonprofit organization. So every dollar we take in goes out to do one of two things. One, fund new drug research for those who are stricken with ALS. And two is to provide caretakers for those people who have family members that have ALS. Because if you don't know, living with somebody with ALS is a 24/7 job, because they literally can't do virtually any ADL, which is activities of daily living. So showering, bathing, toileting yourself, dressing yourself, so on and so forth. They can't do those things on their own. So you need somebody 24/7. And most families don't have the means to afford a private caretaker. So it's a family member, and family members have to work, and family members get exhausted because, think about if you never got a chance to sleep, barely got a chance to sleep because you're taking care of somebody 24/7. That wasn't your job. So what we do is we donate the money to the families, and we actually there's organizations we work with that provide private caretakers to come in for a day, 2 days, a week, whatever it is. One time, I think that the family wanted to go up to their cat, or the part of the family wanted to go up to their cabin for the weekend. So we paid for a caretaker for the weekend so they could just go enjoy a weekend and know that their loved one was taken care of. So that's what we do. So, whether it's donations or awareness or just sharing the word, anything that we can do to make sure that this disease never sees the earth again, because if you haven't had anybody with it, don't know anybody with it, I wish that you never do, because it is effing brutal. It is effing brutal. So Michelle Gargaro Foundation, like I said, nonprofit run by our family. And we had a golf tournament earlier this year, a couple months ago, that raised $6,500 that got donated out. We've had other fundraisers that have raised $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, whatever it is. I think grand total since we founded it 2 years ago, we've raised close to $20K. So
yeah, I can't wait for year 3 of the golf tournament as well. The golf tournament's always fun to hear
about. It's a fun event.
So yeah, I know you're out there too, Doc. I know you're a stick. I can feel it off of you. So shout out to you, Doc.
Yeah. I've improved my handicap this year from like mid or like low teens to slightly lower teens. So there you go.
That's
slightly lower teens, but thank you for all the nice comments in the chat too. I appreciate it.
Yes, Doc, you're a great guy. We appreciate you. Thank you for your analysis. Follow him on Twitter at SpinDocSports. You can see it on screen there if you're confused. Great guy. And we'll see you again. We'll see him again in the playoffs. But
I'll be
final
here.
Monday of the regular season.
Strikeout props go until the last out of the World Series, man.
Yeah. Do they go up in the playoffs?
What's that?
Do they go up in the playoffs? Like totals just drop down to the strikeout props?
Depends on the game. Actually, strikeout props are actually easier to cap in the playoffs. Because the variances in what the line should be to what it actually is are very, very, very glaring. And it's also a lot easier to focus more on one prop when you don't have 30 pitchers to cap every day. So it's actually a lot easier.
Agreed there. Thank you to Mello for joining us in the Pub Members Club. Shout out to you, my guy. I appreciate you for doing that. And I appreciate you, Doc, for everything you do.
Thank you so much.
Thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you guys again tomorrow. Bobano joins us for the final Tuesday edition of Say Hey Plays in the regular season this year. Say hey. We'll see you guys next time.